Hi, Michael. How are you?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Very good, thank you. Yeah, it's kind of hit me that we are aware, at least I am aware of your work for a very long time, but as you mentioned, we never actually spoke before the collaboration. And I was thinking, why is that? Because I really enjoy your take on karate and your videos. I think everybody likes your videos.
Appreciate it. No, yeah, I think I mentioned when we reached out, I was like, back in the day, you're like the one of the OGs of uploading stuff onto YouTube. I think it was you. I remember seeing Noah here and there too, and for sure Ian Abernathy. And then it was like you three very consistently before me and Aaron started uploading anything. And you guys were kind of the pioneers and all that. So I always appreciated you putting yourself out there because the internet can be a mean place sometimes, you know?
Yeah, it took me a long time to master the um courage to do that. But
Mm.
obviously I am not very, I don't know, it seems to be that people have a different presences. So like yourself, you've got huge following on the social media. And I'm doing this from 2007, I think. Then I had a break, come back, and I still got like 5,000 people. But my podcast does much better. So I think it's just the face is not right on the
Yeah.
internet.
Well, I always tell people like I don't know what makes it work or why people gravitate towards things, right? So that's like the algorithm, that's luck, that's whatever, but 5,000 is a lot. Like yeah, if
Yeah.
you think 20 subscribers is a classroom, 100 subscribers is like an auditorium. 5,000, that's like a concert hall. That's a stadium. So yeah, 5,000 people looking at you, looking for your advice. That's a big deal, you know? So
Yeah, I'm happy even if I can help one person, right? If I've got the message to
yeah,
one
for
person that
sure.
this was useful, I'm
Yeah.
happy. Can you take
Yeah.
us a little bit through your background in martial arts? Because you're not only doing karate, you've done a BJJ, you've done ton of other things. Can you take us quickly through that?
Yeah. Yeah, the story goes I started when I was 5 with my family. My mom, my dad, my older brother, myself, we all started in Kung Fu. And then I was the only one that stuck with it and I just never stopped. And they got bored of it. They moved on to other things. My brother's a big into sports. He plays basketball, he plays golf, all that stuff. I just never got into like team sports or anything like that. I just stuck with martial arts. I don't know how to explain that. It just resonated with me. I remember my dad used to watch a lot of kung fu movies growing up, and I would sit next to him and watch it and stuff. So that probably stuck with me too. And then from there, just researching on my own, looking like finding Bruce Lee, doing the reading through, Tao Chi Kondo and stuff like that. It really opened up my eyes to cross training, and I started cross training really early. I started doing Kaji Kempo, Shotokan. Lucky with Kaji Kempo, like they have some grappling aspect in there, so I was able to get into that. And then I found an Okinawan dojo in high school, so Shorin-ryu, Matsubayashi. And then from there, I started like climbing up the ranks, and I opened up a college club, and that was real fun. Got to train and teach all through college, and then I moved after college and found a Kobayashi or Shorinkan Shorin-ryu dojo, and that's where I met my sensei, the same sensei that Aaron trained under at Karate Culture. So from there, it's just been finding things to do, staying busy, finding more styles, just trying to incorporate that into my expression of karate. And that sensei that me and Aaron trained under, he urged us to, find a legitimate jiu-jitsu school if we wanted to pursue that, and that's he kind of pushed me into that, and I haven't stopped there either. So it's been about 15 years training jiu-jitsu. And I did like 4 or 5 years of judo as well. So a lot of grappling and striking, pretty much.
So what is so special about karate that you're coming back to it? Because your channel and all the kind of activity you going back to karate. For me, I cannot say precisely why karate. I tried MMA, I switched to doing no belts and stuff like that, but my heart
Mhm.
it circles out back out always to the karate, and I cannot explain really why.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to think through that, and there's definitely like an appeal to the culture of like honor and Bushido, the Japanese like culture of that, turning something that is practical and turning that into a way of life. There's a whole history of that. The Japanese people, we went to Japan in 2016. The Japanese people are just very polite. It's just a good culture. There's that too. There is the sense that karate needs to be super practical and it was revered and respected, and there's a need for that. So I do feel like I grew up knowing a different type of karate, and I'm trying to bring that type of mentality or that type of karate back to the forefront. Um, everyone likes an underdog story in the sense like karate used to be trendy and now it's not. So feeling like you're on a mission to help do that is a good feeling. And for myself, like I owe karate a lot of things. A lot of my good friendships are through karate. People I met in college, people I've met before them, people I still am in contact with now, right? So a lot of them come from martial arts. And then at the end of the day, it creates good people generally. So you're not just an MMA fighter trying to beat somebody up. You're not just a self-defense guy. You have all these things. And I think we mentioned this before in our last collaboration. It's like you can find anything you want in karate. You could find the cultural aspect of it. You could find the meditative aspect of it. You could find the practical aspect of it, and you can lean into that as an individual. It doesn't have to, you don't have to kind of like um pigeonhole yourself into one type of karate, right? So there's a little bit for everybody.
Yeah, that's what I love about karate. Whichever stage you are, you can find something, you know. I've got a group
Yeah.
of elderly doing kata just for meditation and mobility. I've got a group that goes for a competition and they spar a lot, and I've got a group in my age brackets that we're just doing it for fun. So there's
Yeah.
always path that you
And
can take and enjoy it.
yeah, that's a good point too, because it can change for each person throughout their life too.
Mm.
Yeah, I won't call him out, but I have a buddy in college that joined the karate club as a social club to, meet other people, meet girls potentially, right? And then now he just trains because that's who he is. He trains because he likes karate. But uh, it cracks me up to think like he was just there to, be social and meet new people.
And for your journey, I know you've done a little bit explanation on our collaboration about the kind of mental health aspect of karate, but could you briefly remind us how did the karate impacted you, and if, was it positive or negative, or like
Yeah, like real quick from that video, I said like karate was like the best thing that ever happened to me and also put me through some of the worst things as well. Just mentally in the sense like for me, when you define yourself by one thing that's like of the earth and that thing disappears, you kind of have to go through a rebuilding phase, a recalibration phase for your life where you had to search and find it again. And luckily with like Karate Breakdown, it kind of came back and it kind of I'm I'm representing karate, but in a better headspace now than I was prior. And then positively, I think the flow state that you get into when you train is huge. I think everyone needs some type of way to disconnect or way to decompress from their everyday life. And martial arts can give you that, especially when you're sparring, especially when you're doing kata, like you're saying, like moving meditation. Everyone needs something, so karate can provide that as well.
yeah, I love it as well that people can find that relief, and we've got a program in our club that parents, stressed parents, for example, people who've got the like children on the autistic spectrum and stuff like that, can come and just smash the pads and get that an hour of relief, unleash that anger or whatever stress it is, and it
Yeah,
resets them. They can go back and have a nice time. So in that terms, karate or any martial art is really beneficial to mental health.
yeah, and I mean, I read your books, and it's like it's a very admirable thing that you're doing, right? And it's like you said, we didn't really know of each other that much, kind of on the proximity and stuff. But as I dove deeper into what you're doing and like your mission and everything, it takes a certain personality to be able to do that, and a lot of patience too, and that's kind of what I see. That's lacking in a lot of instructors nowadays, where especially if you just focus on fighting and your fighter's not getting getting the technique that you want, right? So it's easier to get mad at them or put things at high stakes because hey, you're fighting, there's money on the line, there's other things on the line, but having the patience to help kind of foster the growth of somebody without any pressure is big, and just allow them to develop at their own timeline. It's big too, and allow them to decompress and let out some anger too. So that's great what you're doing.
Thank you. But you comparing a lot of videos of other sports to karate. How did that idea come about?
Yeah, so our sensei was big on just kata as natural human movements, and I say that a lot. And it's how to explain it is like combat's just like any sport, combat has its own pathways and its own coordination drills that you need to develop, right? It's not like I can learn karate and now I can play baseball or soccer. Like baseball has its specific techniques, soccer has its techniques, and combat has its specific techniques. And when you break it down like that and not think about kata as a defined application to things, then you realize, oh, these are all universal movements within combat. And if you look at it like that, then you see the parallels between all the different styles. And for me, it helps me like break down the walls of like this style is better than this style, blah blah. It's more like how did the person decide to focus on a certain aspect of their style, and why did that grow versus another person like generalizing taekwondo likes kicks, karate likes punches, right? That's not it's not completely true, but just generalizing for the sake of this example. So like how did that person using the same movements that we have as humans decide to go more into kicking stuff versus more into punching stuff, right? And you get to draw those parallels when you allow yourself to look at it as universal movement. And that's where like these clips come in, right? So I'm not saying karate predated Muay Thai or karate predated judo, and now judo stealing this karate technique. I'm saying we're all human. You can only move a certain amount of ways, and because of that, I see all these parallels between styles, and I represent that in the videos that I make.
Yeah, it's really cool to see those. Although, uh, if I can give one advice or maybe what I
Yeah.
would like to see, I would like to see you putting more. And I talked that with Brian Bates. You put some of his videos from Naihanchi as well.
Mm-hmm.
But it would be nice to see highlighting more because now more and more karate people does throws and stuff like. If you highlight a little bit more of that, hey, that actually is in karate as well. Because at the moment it looks
Yeah.
like you just do kata and the other sport, and sometimes
Right,
people
right,
like,
right.
hey, we do that. Why does the karate guys doing that, right? But
Yeah.
it's a minor thing. I really enjoy your videos, and it is like, why did I not think about that? Why did I not do
Mm.
that? You know.
Yeah, well, I will admit to you, my editing process is really about convenience right now. How quickly can I output? So it's, I'm scrolling on Instagram and I see something that triggers something. So I'm like, oh, I know this kata. I'm gonna find the kata clip really quick and then just splice
Mm.
it together. So, um, yeah, I mentioned you. I have a 1 year old. So my life is it revolves around him right now. So
Yeah.
whatever I can do to produce videos as quickly as possible is kind of what the name of the game for me.
Yeah, I've got 8-year-old and a 6-year-old. I know what you mean. It's just
Yeah.
that no time for anything. I do all my videos either in when I'm washing up and washing with one hand and pressing with other hand,
Yeah.
or in bed just before sleeping doing something. So that's why
Right,
my
right.
editing skills are so poor. I think if I put actually effort into learning proper editing, I could have a more followers and supporters. But it's just like
Hmm.
I can't deal with this right now. I just go. That's it.
Yeah.
Done.
As long as you keep pushing out content, people are gonna keep going to it. Like you push out good stuff for sure.
Thank you. Um, you've been training in BJJ as well. What is your view of the methodology in karate and BJJ? through the years. So I started in karate. Then I've been introduced to wrestling, and I've been become a supporting coach in Poland in wrestling club. Then I done BJJ. Now I'm back into BJJ, and I changed a lot of methodology in training from karate. When we started karate, it was all copy the kihon, do the katas,
Hmm.
do sparring hard. Everything was very like militaristic, that's the word.
Hmm.
And then I went into the wrestling, and I've seen that, hey, but they have fun. They've got games there.
You could
They can
play,
do
yeah.
rolling and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
so I took all those stuff and incorporated in my training. And I think it works better for my group. I'm sure there are some people who prefer very strict training. We're doing more like BJJ relaxed. What's your
Hmm.
views on that and how you do training in your dojo?
Yeah, I mean the way you explain that, it makes a lot of sense. And the reason why like you have to approach it differently is like with wrestling or any clinch or grappling, you are pushing against another person at 100%, right? And it's safer than getting punched or getting bruises and stuff like that. But if you do that every single training session, you're not going to recover. Like I'm sure if you had a hard grappling session the next day, you just feel achy and kind of sore and everything like that. Whereas when you're sparring hard with karate, you can get like bumps and bruises. You can get your the wind knocked out of you in the moment, but you're not like the body can adapt to that pretty quickly. In a couple months, you can feel like you can the next day you could wake up and kind of do that again because you're not using all your muscle under tension at all times for like a 5 minute round. So the grapplers, the wrestlers kind of understood that where a lot of it you need to play games to get the pathways and the reaction time correct without getting tired because you need to do that again the next day and the next day and over again. And they're also like training for like higher level competition or where there's more at stake. So you're trying to reduce injury as much as you can through training camp. Um, Whereas like karate guys, you get to mix it up between kata and then sparring. So you do have some time to kind of let your body heal and relax between sessions. But yeah, I'm a big proponent for playing games. I think you just did like an ecological approach podcast, right? I haven't checked it out yet, but that's huge. I went down a big rabbit hole on that. I teach that way when I teach jiu-jitsu as well. I teach 2 times a week, and a lot of it is creating scenarios so that the student themselves can troubleshoot, right? And that's very different than saying, do this technique, and then the compliant partner will react how you think they'll react, right? So when you add a little bit of pressure and a little bit of like freedom to experiments, then your brain will kind of adapt and start to troubleshoot on its own, and you kind of self-learn as you go throughout class. And I think that's huge. That way you're not just thinking or you're not just creating like what if scenarios or like in a traditional karate class, like you have guy grabs you here, you twist the arm, you do that, and it's kind of implied or it's kind of expected like that's gonna work if you try it hard. But a lot of times they don't go beyond just a compliant drill. And then when they do try it against someone who's resisting, it doesn't work, and they say the technique isn't right or something, right? So I do think when you play games, it allows you to see it working or not working and how to adjust to that quickly.
I've got funny anecdote. When I came to UK and joined one of the clubs, I won't say the name, and we've been doing joint locks, and they grabbed me,
Hmm.
and the joint lock didn't work, and the reply pretty much all the time is, "Oh, because you're from Eastern Europe, you're different."
Oh, that's
It's
funny.
like, I'm very short guy and small guy, and the huge guy
Yeah.
can't do it. It's like, I think there's something wrong with your technique, not necessarily with my toughness. So people finding different excuses for that, especially in karate realms. I kind of find it funny when people saying like, "Oh, it didn't work because you didn't train long enough. You have to spend 5 more years on this
Mm,
kata, and it's
yeah.
all gonna be revealed." That's why I like BJJ and wrestling because everything is testable. under
Mm-hmm.
pressure. You just go in
Yeah.
and test it, right?
Yeah.
So our karate training is more now towards kind of BJJ style. So on every training,
Yeah.
we're doing a sparring session, light sparring session, like we call it all around karate. So we do everything. So
Well,
are you
have you noticed? Oh, go
go on,
ahead.
go.
Have you noticed like an increase in your students' like competency once you switched over? Was there like a big difference?
Yeah, we just week ago. I think I posted the last podcast about it on a video. I had clips with it. I quite often record our sparring sessions, and
Mm-hmm.
since we moved to that dojo, which is in a picture behind us, uh, the comfort of people trying stuff went through the roof.
Oh
I
wow.
usually we usually do grading once a year, and this year
Mm-hmm.
I had to do it twice because some of the guys jumped so much.
Oh, that's
And it's,
awesome.
we change our syllabus completely. We don't have any single prescribed technique. We starting with 10th Q. You need to be able to roll through the dojo with different break falls, forward, backwards. Then you say basic punches, basic kicks, basic
Mm-hmm.
throws, by basic takedowns, ground work, ground escapes. So it's all based on a concepts, I think, instead of being 2000 keys and
Yeah,
kicks and self-defense. So in that way, I see a huge jump in my students and comfort of being in sparring. I think that's a
that's great. Yeah.
big difference.
No, that's
So
good to hear.
I'm very happy with that, and but I've got that comfort that I'm not um, restrained by organizations and competition and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So I can spend
Yeah.
5 years trying this stuff and then do the review and say, oh, it doesn't work. We move to do something else, right?
Yeah. No.
So I'm
No,
trying.
that's a great point. You don't have to be stuck under regulations and rules and yeah, formalities. Yeah, that's good.
Are you teaching full time or you just the pastime?
No. Yeah, it's just on the side. And right now primarily it's jiu-jitsu and then I try to meet up with some people for karate and stuff like that, but it's few and far between. Yeah, so I work full time and then I watch my kid as well, and then train on the side. Yeah.
Can you tell us more about your logbook or notebook or whatever you want to call it?
Yeah, the training log. So what's funny is I reached out to you about it because I didn't realize you had a journal. I wrote on Reddit. I was like, "Hey, does anyone on Reddit think this is a good idea?" And then they linked your thing and it's like, "Hey, this is already done. Les is already doing it." And then I messaged you. I was like, I hope I'm not like stepping on any toes asking about this journal, but the idea is like the biggest thing that keeps someone going is accountability, right? Especially when you're starting out, you have all of these like anxieties, you have all these things about you like excuses not to go to the dojo, right? Or excuses not to train. So I figured like the easiest way, and it helped me a lot growing up when I had notebooks and like Word documents to just track my progress and write notes after class to remind myself what we learned. So I was like, there hasn't really been a karate specific type of training log for that. So, um, I designed it. I didn't realize I guess how smooth it is on Amazon to upload things. So I was like, okay, let me make this digital and then I'll upload it to Amazon and I got approved really quick. And I was like, wow, that was pretty simple. But yeah, the whole idea is like there's checklists in there, there's places where you can sketch, there's a column for like writing down your katas and how many times you want to do them. There's a place to put your dates. And for me, like I kind of took the checklist idea from a jiu-jitsu school I came up in. They had like when you walk in, you go to a front desk and then you pull out a attendance card essentially. And the attendance card is just looks like a grid of squares with every single date of there on the year. So every day you go in or every time you come in, you're filling in the grid or filling in the box. And for some people it really doesn't matter, but for me, like I'm a big checklist guy. So seeing that I was like covering all the blocks in 1 week and covering all the blocks in 2 weeks, and telling myself, hey, I've trained for 2 weeks in a row now. Let me see if I could do three. And that was a good motivation for myself to kind of keep going to class. So within that journal is like a section that's like check boxes where you can count how many checks you did of kata, kihons, kumite, cross training, stuff like that. And it's just a way to hold yourself accountable if you don't have like a dojo presence that's like texting you all the time, which is also super nice, right? A lot of the jiu-jitsu guys, before class, it's like, hey, are you coming today? Haven't seen you in a couple weeks. Are you coming? Stuff like that. So that helps a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very nice that you reached out to ask. You completely didn't have to do it. But that's a second situation with the journal, very similar to yours. I don't know, you aware of conversational karate, Sue and Greg?
Conversation. No, I'm
They've
not.
got a
I'll check them out.
really nice podcast. And
Yeah.
when I was working on my journal, they've been working on theirs.
Ah,
And
okay.
so it's like, oh, you're doing one. Oh, we're doing as well. Should we
That's
just,
funny.
yeah, just publish it? I think it's, I don't see any martial artist as competition. I see
Mm,
that people got different taste and there's enough room for everybody. And
right.
more content you push out, quality content, then it drives people in the different directions. Because if somebody found your journal, they might look for journals. Mine might come up. They 1 year they might get mine, other year the
Yeah.
yours, other one the conversation of karate. So there's plenty of space for everybody, and if it helps somebody and it resonates with them, why not?
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And we're all on the same mission to kind of make karate available to everyone and make it practical. It's the whole like rising tides rises all the boats, right? So we all kind of help each other out and feed off each other in different ways.
Do you got any more projects involving writing? Because your ideas are great. I am a great believer. I've been pushed towards publishing books. So I'm pushing everybody else to publish books because I think everybody's got a story inside. And there is something really cathartic. I don't know if I pronounce it properly from
Mm.
catharsis.
Catharsis. Yeah. Yeah.
That you publish a book, and like I said, I've been struggling with publishing it. I was thinking about it, but I think it was the best thing what I done in terms of like helping people. I had lots of conversation with people. I even have a messages that I saved people's life because they didn't see the way
Yeah.
to do it, and karate brought them back. So, are you planning
Mm.
to publish something?
No, that's amazing. That again, that's super admirable. And I read through your books and they're like I think I mentioned to you, it's nice to see somebody so vulnerable online, right? Or vulnerable in their books, in their writing. Yeah, for myself, I think it's like anything else. You need to create a practice out of it, right? The art of writing when even reading, the art of anything tactile when there's so much other stuff put in front of your face every day is tough. Getting into that habit, building that habit, when you don't have a good history of it is kind of tough. So, I do plan to write a book that's kind of dedicated to my old sensei. Just like it's a karate principles book. Pretty much all the stuff we did in video, but more in a book form. Um, I guess more practical in that sense rather than like counseling or rather than anything else. But yeah, that's in the works. I think I mentioned this. I wrote like 40, 50 pages when I first was training with my sensei and training with Aaron, all these ideas, right? All these concepts and principles. A lot of them, reading back on them, um, this is probably over 10 years ago now, but reading back on that, I threw away a lot of principles and I kept a lot of principles and I also like added on to a lot of it as well. So right now I'm in a process of editing what I wrote and adding on to it. But again, it's hard to fit that in at the end of the day, or you really need to like schedule in a time to write, and that's kind of what I'm struggling with right now.
Yeah, I'm writing a book about the methodology of training for karate because I can't find
Mm,
anything strict on how to teach and stuff. So
yeah.
I'm doing that, but with two kids, it's just everything is so delayed because everything and it's, Daddy, Daddy, need that. Oh, God, I'm
Yeah.
going. I'm mainly the driver for kids to from the club to club and
Right.
with teaching classes as well and working for my local government
Mm,
teaching classes for them as well. It's just an unfeasible to do. So that's gonna be a kind of long term project.
yeah.
I so you
Yeah,
said you're teaching BJJ, right? For
I
somebody
do.
classes. Where
It's
is that?
for yeah, the local city's recreation center. So,
Oh, cool.
it's a shared space. We go in there twice a week. There's mats in a closet. We take out the mats and have class and then put the mats away. But it's a very nice class. It's very chill. When I first, so I'm in Dallas right now, Dallas, Texas. When I first moved up here, I shopped around for a lot of schools to kind of be a student again in jiu-jitsu, and everywhere I went, that's one thing about wearing a black belt around your waist in a jiu-jitsu program. If you're a stranger in America, most likely you'll get tested, right? So everywhere I went, I got some type of injury that popped elbow, popped knee, and I probably went to 4 or 5 different schools within a year trying to look around, and then I found this place. Very nice people, and they're very relaxed. Everyone has a full-time job. Everyone's not trying to compete, so it it definitely helps me keep my craft while not risking anything major in terms of injury. Yeah.
Yeah, it took me a bit to find a BJJ suitable for an old guy like me who is on the beginning of the journey. Well, restarting the journey in BJJ.
Yeah.
And to not get those injuries, right? But I think the biggest change was my ego. I dropped it down, and
Mm,
I don't have to. If I feel like I need to tap, I tap early and tap fast instead of trying to
yeah.
resist and get the injuries.
Yeah.
But we've got a kind of older team, so it's really nice to just be
That's
chill
good.
and
Yeah.
learn, and enjoy it. So it is nice for me.
Yeah. Cool. I have some questions for you, and then we could wrap this up if you don't mind.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, just talking about your history, what made you want to start posting videos online? Like I said earlier, like you were one of the pioneers. And YouTube, I mean, it was big back then, but it wasn't like a good resource for tutorials as it is now, where people are really just anyone's trying to push out videos, right? So, what made you want to do that?
Initially, I think I started 2007, being back in Poland, or 2006 or something like that, at the very beginning. I just wanted to promote our club. We had a very small
Mm,
club in Poland, so I wanted to promote it and get people through yeah, everybody was saying, you must be on YouTube, you must be on YouTube. So I
mhm,
put that in there. And then I moved to UK and then stopped for about 5, 6 years completely. Then it
mhm.
was stage, I've seen people making lots of money on YouTube. So I thought, yes, I'm gonna be rich. It's my job, and I'm gonna do it. And then I realized I'm pretty much shit in editing and stuff like that. And I'm kind of not
No,
a tech guy, so I'm never buying a brand new phone. I'm buying like
yeah,
3 generations behind because it's cheap. And then you
right.
realize, oh shit, I don't have a quality tools to do that.
It's
Um,
yeah, it's like no one's making money on YouTube nowadays.
no,
That's one thing
and
too. It's like you're following your passion, right? You're
yeah,
releasing things that you want to see. So,
exactly. And then I changed my mind. I realized that the YouTube is not my main medium. People don't resonate with it as much as with my books. And
mhm.
then COVID hit, and by accident with Andy Allen, we meant to do a conversation like we're doing now but through the Skype, and Skype decided to record only half of me and
Uh,
zero of Andy. So I tried, let's try the podcast, and I really enjoy podcast. But all those endeavors is kind of challenge for me, and my approach is to do. If I'm afraid of something, I need to do it. So
Mm.
putting myself out there with my techniques. Like I said, I spend lots of time thinking and, oh, people not gonna like it, people gonna laugh at me and stuff like that. But I then decided first posting on stuff with Ian Abernathy forum, and I have to say that Ian Abernathy was a huge help for me and encouragement. We spent a lot of time saying and reinforcing that, yeah, you're doing quality stuff, keep going and keep doing it. So I done that. I think that was the peak of my, just before COVID was the peak of my videos. I had like, 5, 6,000 people watching it. Then it was COVID.
Mm.
So everybody went online and I was like, kind of, I don't want to really do it that much. So my dropped down and I don't know if algorithm changed or something, but I never got back on the wave. It never picked up
Yeah.
again.
Seems like
So, but
it's
I
always
enjoying it, and my students like watching them. It's more kind of reference to my students, so they can check whatever we're doing and
yeah.
having like that. But it is what it is. I enjoy recording them, and I love interacting with trolls. So unfortunately, the more I work on trolls, the less I get. So for 2 months now, I don't have any trolls at all.
Oh,
I used to do
interesting. Yeah.
on TikTok. I was doing answering the trolls questions. So
Mm.
actively getting on them, but my rules were I never get emotional and I'm always very polite. And usually when
Yeah.
I say I'm inviting you to try our mental health program, people just go away because nobody wants
Mm.
to be seen their mental, right?
Right, right. How was you just had a seminar with Ian, right? How was that?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, it's always fun. It's always fun. Ian is, I learn a lot from Ian in terms of teaching. As he says himself, he's a bit autistic. So he remembers every master's quote. You ask him something, and Motobu
Mm.
said this. So his
Wow.
memory in that term is amazing, which mine is completely opposite. I've got a very good memory, but very short.
Uh,
And yeah, but Ian is such a great guy, and he is willing to support people and promote people without wanting anything back. So he's always pushing lots of content and promoting people. His knowledge is amazing. His skills are amazing. I like to train with him. We had a couple of sessions that we trained together, hands on, and his teaching style is great with the stories and anecdotes and stuff. And people really like him. So it always brings a lot of people. So
awesome. Yeah, I do have one question for you if you want to end with this. What do you think is missing from the karate world right now? That's a
I
big
think
question.
yeah, well, I think training with different people and few people interacting with us. Several clubs in UK changed their approach to sparring. The simple thing is if you want to fight, you need to fight. There's no other way.
Mm-hmm.
You can do katas, you
Mm-hmm.
can do techniques, you can do pad work, but if you don't spar, you don't spar, right? It's just like in BJJ. And one of the best reviews for my club was when we had the guys from Germany coming and from all over the UK. Actually, when Chris was here, Chris
Mm-hmm.
Hansen, and the guys came in to me and said, "It's amazing to see your students because even the white belts have no fear in their eyes, so they can spar with
That's awesome.
seventh dan and
Yeah.
just not bother because our culture of sparring is that we make sure that nobody gets hurt and there is
Yeah.
no animosities, there's no ego involved. So the people pick up on how you behave, and we've got few clubs now who change their sparring methodology, and they are sparring every session. So for us, it's at least half an hour of such sparring, like all around
Wow.
sparring. So takedowns.
Yeah.
It depends what we're working on. Like yesterday, we had a super light sparring because we all over 40 and all coming and complaining about knee, shoulder, and stuff. So it was very, very light. But went through all stand up, takedown. It depends on the people. So for me, the pressure testing. I know people don't like saying pressure testing, but the testing in some kind of resistance. It doesn't have to be super resistant, but training under resistance and actually testing
Yeah.
karate. Because as you know, karate has got so much good stuff in it, but if you don't test it, you can't make it work. I
Right.
think that's my thing.
Yeah. That's a great approach to be able to spar every class, even light spar is great because then you're just developing your students' eyes and reaction time and timing and everything. So it never gets rusty.
Mm.
That's good. I
Yeah,
like
so
that.
I spoke with my students and I asked really just asked them, what's your goal in a training? What do you want to achieve? You want to be technical, you want to do katas, you want to be competition, or you want to be able to handle yourself on the street, right? So they
Hmm.
all said, we want to be able to handle ourselves on the street.
Yeah.
So looking at the broad spectrum we do, because we do groundwork, we do throws, we do the stand up. Um, we decided to drop off a lot of katas, so we got only 3 katas till black belt, and
Okay.
then we kind of by the black belt you should be able to handle yourself. I'm not saying on a level of BJJ or boxing, but you
Right.
should be able be comfortable in all areas, and then we can focus on the kata. And so from the first dan we're putting more emphasis on katas
Uh,
and understanding
yeah.
you're choosing 3 katas that you want to work in depth, right? So the first three
That's.
katas is Naihanchi, Tensho, and Gyakusai Dai.
Hmm.
I'm using them as a tools for people to understand how we break down kata.
Hmm.
So they're not being, oh, you first done, now go and figure. So you've got the
Yeah.
prescribed method that I using, and hopefully you've been on the seminars with Ian and other people, and you've got different views on that research, and you understand how to break the kata down, what you can extract from them for yourself, and then you're choosing the kind of specialization, what kata you want.
Man, that's a unique approach. I haven't heard it like that before, but it makes a lot of sense. Like limit the katas before you get to black, and then once you get to black, then you start doing a deep dive.
Because I spoke
Um,
with lots of people and I see that people reaching the black belt and there's nothing to do.
yeah, it's always the flipped, right? Yeah, they just learn all their katas first, and then black belt they just stand around or they have to help out with class.
Exactly. So I want the people
Yeah.
who, and when you're starting, you don't understand really what you want from martial arts. When you're
Mm,
approaching black belt, you've got some idea what you want to do. So if you want to go and really deep dive in in karate history and stuff, then you've got all those katas that you can explore, and you're never gonna be bored.
yeah. No, that's great. That I'm gonna have to think on that for myself too now. That's great.
I send you our syllabus so you can see we explain
Sure.
everything there, so you can
Uh,
see and stuff. Yeah. Would you want to say where to find you? I think everybody knows karate breakdowns.
yeah, just anywhere karate breakdown, karatebreakdown.com, Instagram, YouTube. I'm on TikTok, but not really. It's just reposting stuff that I do on Facebook and everything like that. So, um, each channel has its own strategy that you just have to learn, and I'm not in that. I don't have time for that right now. But I
I'm gonna
appreciate this conversation. Go ahead.
I'm gonna put the link to your notebook and my notebook in the description below.
Sure.
So guys, if you wanna grab it, grab both, the best, and as well for our friends from Karate Conversation, they've got the amazing one with the awesome drawings because Greg is a great artist, so they've got like the
Mm,
drawings inside, which are really
I gotta
amazing.
check it out. Yeah.
Cool.
Well, thank you
Thank you
very
very
much for
much.
having me. Yeah.
Cool. I hope we can catch up later as well and have a longer conversation and
Yeah, for sure.
exchange more
Yeah.
ideas. Much
Sounds
appreciated.
good. Thank you very much.